Today marked the death of net neutrality, the ability to use the internet and not worry about service providers trying to discriminate against your website based on its content. Uh, it's something that's been 6 months in the making. We will probably not see its effects for another few days, if weeks, but they will slowly and surely start to segue themselves into our reality. Now, the main thing to take away from this is that, as I spoke about it multiple times at the end of last year and a little bit this year, it really has kind of resonated with me, especially in the light of this last Senate primary in my state of California, because you have, in effect, a terrible policy, which is what this is. A majority of people do not want to run the risk of having their internet increased in its pricing by providers because they didn't like something you said. But due to a lack of paying attention in terms of who we allow to go to Congress, um, policies such as this that are just across the board unpopular are allowed to manifest. And what ends up happening is that the sock puppets that these corporations put in positions of power with the funding they give them, such as the FCC chairman Ajit Pai, who wrote an op-ed today, they will use their platform of higher notability to dance around and or put a pretty face on whatever disturbing and otherwise unpopular position they have. So, for example, if you read his op-ed, he talks about how, oh, the system that we had before worked for 20 years, and this system is, these regulations are too strict, and it is when you read that stuff, it's very easy to become convinced of why this getting rid of it isn't a bad thing. And it's designed, and really you can take this and apply it to any policy that most people are opposed to. But the reason I say that is because when I was thinking about the election results, just as I thought about the FCC vote and then the House voting against the net neutrality bill, I questioned myself. If people aren't going to allow themselves to put in representatives that do not find themselves beholden to donors, and thus promote policies and viewpoints that the majority of us despise, what else can you do? And I don't expect for everyone to just go walking around asking, oh, what is this person's position on this? But that kind of attention to small detail is starting to become increasingly needed, because if you go through history, there have been more positions put on various people in power. A person running for the House of Representatives 100 years ago wasn't asked about his views on climate change, and certainly not net neutrality. But now with these new issues popping up, I really hope people will, maybe hold their politicians' feet to the fire. And like I said, I don't want to make this a partisan attack at all, but the Democrats that represent me, I can say wholeheartedly, are all in favor of net neutrality, as well they should be. Um, and that's a small little thing to put into their bucket of decency. And anyone who's seen content here before knows I'm no fan of either party's majority of politicians. But I have to give credit where credit is due. I just hate the fact that they didn't um, go around and make this a central issue of the midterm elections. Especially when you think about it, the Senate passes to every single Democrat, no matter how corrupt I thought they were, votes for it. And then in the House, because it's a majority Republican, they stop it. But then even if it passed, Trump would veto it. So either way, it is a real storm of mediocrity, and I can only um, think to myself that maybe this will just be a state of terribleness, or if that's even a word, for 2 years, however long it takes for the Democrats to take some position of power again. But I just hope that people will look at, read behind the lines of the campaigns that these people in power, these are, when you go and watch the speeches by these Republican congressmen or senators or the FCC chairman, and they talk badly about net neutrality, look at what it's actually about. You have to put both sides to the issue, because there are sometimes you just sit there and you listen to them and they can really be convincing about how horrible this thing is and how it's going to destroy the internet, even though it didn't. So that's that. Have a good day, and we will eventually be out of this. uh, I hate to say we need to rely on the next presidential election, but that is who appoints the FCC chairman, and that's quite a while away. But we can maybe make some lobbying toward Congress members in the meantime. Who knows? Thank you.